Colton, a few weeks ago, I had a chance to go to the British Museum, home to the Rosetta Stone, lots of rich dead Egyptians, and tons of Asian tourists. I'm sure that this is one of the largest assemblies of world culture anywhere in the world. In just a few hours, I was able to walk from Egypt to Greece to Africa and to Mexico and see real and authentic exhibits and artifacts. And they really had a bit more than a bit of everything, from Mesoamerican art to the whale stomach clothing worn by the indigenous people of Greenland. However, as I wandered the labyrinth-like halls of this museum, the artifacts kept changing in my mind, from great objects of inspiration and education to the relics of empire and conquest. And as cool as it was, each exhibit continued to bring up complex questions in my mind about the relationship between ownership, empire, and history, which created a moral conflict that I hadn't really been expecting. I know it may sound offensive, but if we are being honest and objective, the magnificent exhibits in the British Museum would not be possible if it were not for the spoils of war and the prizes of empire. The Egyptian mummies, Greek statues, and Middle Eastern rugs are all there essentially because they were taken by the British Empire. Think about it this way. Let's imagine I walk into your house right now and took your cat. I think that all of us could agree that that would be stealing, and I should be punished, and the cat should be returned to you, its rightful owner. Let's take it a bit further. Let's say your cat died. For some strange reason, you mummified it and put it on your mantle. Then I came in and took it. In that situation, not only would I be considered severely creepy, I would also still be considered a thief. But let's say that your cat dies, and you want its physical form to escape the ravages of time, and you mummify it. And then 4,000 years pass, in which time empires rise and fall, generations come and go, and the mummified cat is lost and forgotten about. Colton, at that point, does the poor mummified cat still even have an owner? Is it your great 200 times grandchild's mummified cat? Does it belong to the people who live in your old neighborhood? Or is it just finders keepers? Colton, on one hand, the history in the museum is the history of other people, and therefore it should belong to those people. The Greek marbles are the workmanship of the Greeks, and they are part of Greek heritage. The mummies are quite literally the ancestors of the current Egyptians, and it seems wrong to steal someone's remains away from their posterity. However, on the other hand, I am extremely grateful for so many reasons that this museum exists. London has some of the best security, preservation technology, and specialists to make sure that these priceless artifacts are taken care of and preserved in a way that their home countries could potentially not provide. Also, their central location in one of the world's major cities, in one of the world's major free museums, means that so many more people will have an opportunity to see them. Does a shield of a 1st century Roman soldier actually belong to the current citizens of Rome? I might argue that those kinds of artifacts are really a collective property, the property of anyone and everyone who will appreciate them. Colton, right before the museum closed, I found my way into an exhibit on Africa. In one of the rooms, they had taken piles of weapons, AK-47s, machetes, machine guns, and explosives, and had turned them into common household objects like furniture. To me, this was a powerful representation of how many parts of the world have been and are currently being shaped by incredible amounts of violence, which presented a reminder that while museums may focus on the past, that not all of human history has already happened. We are right now in the middle of history, and each of us are co-authors in a chapter of that story, no more or less important than those who have gone before or who will come after. Colton, I believe the floor may have captured the hopes of all those people, both living and dead, best when it said, "May your feet, millenniums hence, be set in the midst of knowledge." So maybe it matters less who the mummies belong to, but rather how we choose to use the lessons of the past to better shape our own future.